drink excessive alcohol and substances and so on and so forth. So my knowledge has been to see therapists and coaches before, and they kind of struggle to help her move forward in her life. When I dug a bit deeper, I had this realization that her beliefs about herself, the world, other people, her identity was in crisis. And what I mean by that, this woman, when I did a case history, a formulation, she talked about how when she was young she was bullied for her appearance at school, she was called ugly, and so on and so forth. And she developed a sense of worthlessness. She felt that she didn't feel worth. She had low self-esteem. What had happened is, when we trace back the timeline of events, because of the constant bullying, well, that would have contributed to a series of events, and she had the belief about being ugly, she went and became a model. She became a model, and that's an area she succeeded in. So they put photos forward, the photos get put forward, she gets a job, and so on and so forth, the way the selection criteria is in modelling. Now eventually, as things sort of unravel, she gets the instant gratification from getting the job, so the buzz of getting the job, and that kind of masks the cracks about how she feels about herself. So in her mind, she still believes she's ugly in the eyes of corporation, because beauty is not just defined in that capacity. We know that. So when I spoke to her in more detail, to give you an example, if 100 people said to her, "You look really well," that would go in one ear and out the other ear. If one person said, "I don't like the colour of your shoes," she would ruminate over that excessively, and that would reinforce the belief about herself being ugly. And as she sort of went through this career in modelling and was looking at doing other things and what else she could get into at the end of the career, and it became her identity, her professional identity. How we define who we are impacts our behaviour. So it became this model, and it's a little bit like when someone retires from any work, whatever that work might be. They could retire from being a police officer, could retire from being a business person, from being a footballer, from being anything really. In the Western world, we place a big emphasis on our identity around our professional existence. And I'm not saying it's a bad or a good thing, yet that can cause issues in various situations that get our self-worth, our significance from what we do professionally. And we know that there's far more significant things than ourselves professionally. I remember once I had a reunion with some of the university graduates I attended university with, and we talked about what we were all doing, and one person was doing one thing, one the other, and some worked in football, some worked in sport, some had businesses. One woman said, "I haven't really done much. I've just been a mum." And I thought, just a mum? The incredible responsibility of being a mum. You've got to be a nutritionist, you've got to be a psychiatrist, you've got to be, it's just the most challenging aspect of all of them, really, and she's downplaying herself in that way in terms of her self-worth. So the point I'm trying to make here is that, going back to the earlier situation I was talking about, the model, is that her whole self-worth, so how you define who you are, impacts your behavior, identity, sense of self, can live the illusion. And also our beliefs, we tend to have that confirmation bias where it reinforces, not necessarily what we want to believe, but it's very conditioned in our psyche, these beliefs, these schemas that we have. A bit like a schema, fire hot. We know fire is hot, we put our hand in fire very young, we're not going to put it back there again. Alternatively, let's say for example, if you had a dog as a 5-year-old that was your best friend, say a Labrador, and you saw a Labrador 20 years later in the park, then your reaction is going to be warm towards that Labrador if he was the best friend. If you got attacked by that sort of dog when you're 5-year-old, you're going to be afraid. If you didn't have any experience, you might be neutral. So it's all variable. So in the case of the woman, her beliefs about herself, the world, and other people, her identity. So we did a lot of work on her identity, how she defined who she was, and got a more healthier outlook on life. And we overcome the beliefs that she had about herself and her self-worth, and how she felt about herself, and to get a better overview. And you see this happening to a lot of people on various scales and various spectrums, really. And I think it's really important for a coach. Today's takeaway is for a coach or therapist to have systems in place that you can work with people's beliefs to structure reality. Because what's real, really, only other than the meaning that we give it, and also people's identity, how to define who they are. And belief, behind the behavior is a belief, and identity, how we define who we are, impacts our behavior. And that's really significant, really. And you can hear that in people's language patterns, what they say, what they emphasize. If the emphasis is on I, we, then it's generally an area identity. If it's an emphasis on can't, then, for example, I can't do this here. If the emphasis is on I, it's generally an identity. If the emphasis is on can't, it's generally a belief. If it's do, it's generally a capability. If the emphasis is on this, then it's generally a behavior. Here, the environment, and you can, from people's patterns of language that they communicate, it's quite useful to sort of carry on questioning using different questioning models to chunk down on the deeper structure of reality. I use the meta model and NLP a lot, and Socratic questioning to get a deeper view, because it's very difficult to express yourself in a short space of time. And just me walking up and down the street, or me walking 10 seconds away, to express that experience linguistically would take me hours to do that. So we can have various models to go deeper and find out what the personal structure of reality is. So if you want any more information, feel free to email me. It's today's takeaway. Have a fantastic day, and I look forward to you joining me soon again.